Tons of people on the internet talk about decorating small spaces, but the reality of the situation is a lot of stores that cater to small spaces have really ugly stuff. The furniture is flimsy, it's ugly, and it doesn't really give you that elevated, stylish look that I know you're looking for. On the other hand, when you look at most furniture retailers, sure, they have stunning furniture pieces, ones that you'd love to put into your home, but they're not multifunctional and they're way too big. So where should you be shopping? Well, I'm going to share 7 different retailers today, and we're going to move from least to most expensive. Every single retailer has something good to offer, so be sure to stay tuned to the end of the video because you're definitely going to be surprised by number 7. So let's get started with the most affordable store, and that store is Dollar Tree. I know some of you are probably clicking away from the video right now because you're thinking, how is the Dollar Tree going to help me out? All the stuff is cheap. Well, first of all, that's not true, but there are a few categories you definitely want to pick up from Dollar Tree if you're working with a small space. First up, you definitely want to shop at the Dollar Tree frames. No, they're not the highest quality frames on the market, but if you're trying to craft a smaller gallery wall, maybe you're putting one on your kitchen backsplash, maybe you have a small wall and you need frames that are of a smaller size that won't break the bank, they have a lot of options because they have ones that look like they're made of bone. They have ones that are burl wood inspired. They have square ones, they have rectangular ones, they have arched ones. They basically have frames for every single different design style, so you can really find something that is going to cater to you and your space. This is also a great way, say maybe you don't have a free wall and you want to do a gallery wall on your fridge. You can add magnets to the back of them, which you can also get at Dollar Tree, and do something like that on your fridge. I just think the Dollar Tree items really allow you to be a little bit more creative with a small space. Dollar Tree also has tons of fantastic storage options, from little plastic trash cans to shower caddies to those same clear containers you might see at a Container Store. They do have them at Dollar Tree. You just need to visit all different parts of the store because you will find them not only in the organization section, but also in the kitchen section and then also in the hair care section. So even if you're bald like me, you definitely want to walk over there because that's where the goods are. And while having a small space, it doesn't mean you're working with a tight budget by any means. I always want you to save money. So I also want you to go to the dinnerware section. So I think that Dollar Tree has fantastic dinnerware and glassware. They have champagne flutes, they have wine glasses, they have different types of wine glasses. If you really want to maybe elevate your bar cabinet, maybe you want to turn a closet into a little speakeasy with a bar, this is going to be a great way to stock up that bar on a budget. They also have great plates, bowls, things like that. Now I will say Dollar Tree does have ones that say woohoo bachelorette party, but they also have really chic ones with piping and intricate details, so you just want to shop the section really well. So I say look for ones with really nice border trim and ones that are a little bit more neutral in color palette because you can layer them really easily. And in that same section, you might also find some vases, though they do have a vase section as well. I think Dollar Tree is a perfect place to pick up vases, especially since a majority of their vases are clear glass. So when you're working with a small space, it's all about maximizing that space, and a great way to create the illusion of a bigger space is to reflect tons of light. Well, of course, a glass does that. They do have mirrors as well. So if you're working with a small space, you want to add as much glass and as many mirrors as possible, but that can get costly, so definitely shop at Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree even used to sell these 4x4 little mirror sheets that you can put on one of their poster boards to make a really large scale mirror. You can also glue them to your wall. They're very similar to the ones that they sell at Ikea, which is the store we'll talk about very shortly, but I think Dollar Tree is a great place to go for basics for your small space. And speaking of Ikea, of course, Ikea is the next retailer you should be shopping at if you're working with a small space. The reason why Ikea is such an amazing resource if you're working with a small space is that it is a European company. And of course, in Europe, they just do things on a smaller scale. Everything's bigger in America, right? So they have thought a little bit more about how to make a space more efficient, how to have multi-purpose furniture. But of course, Ikea is full of stuff. So what do you get? What do you pass on? Well, of course, you definitely want to pick up some of their kitchen gadgets. In their kitchen section, they have things that just kind of promote efficiency and promote keeping things condensed. From their clip-on hook racks that will help expand your storage not only in the kitchen, but also in the bathroom, even in your study, to their pegboard organizers. They just have little gadgets that just make sense. And they're the same ones, again, that they're going to sell at a organization or efficiency store like the Container Store, but at a fraction of the price. And I have to admit this, Ikea is getting a little bit more expensive, obviously because of inflation, and their storage items are getting to be a little bit pricier. So the next time you go to Ikea, don't skip out on the baby and kids sections because they have some of the same organization items that you'd find in the adult section, but for a whole lot cheaper. They have really great fabric organization bins. They have really great baskets if you want to layer throws in there or something like that. Now, something I know that Ikea does super well that's really great for a small space or otherwise is their storage coffee table. So they have a myriad of storage coffee tables. Some of them have, you know, closed storage, some of them have open storage. I especially like this one. I think it's the home run coffee table. They also have a coordinating side table. It's very reminiscent of the cloud console table that you'd find from Restoration Hardware. This is a great way to have storage, to display it really beautifully, and to kind of tuck it on the back of your furniture and create a division in your home. A lot of times in small spaces, we're working with an open concept and we want a visual barrier without having to buy a big room divider or something like that, because it's costly, it's bulky, and a lot of the times they don't look very good if they're on the cheaper side. So it always comes down to furniture positioning, and something like this console is really going to help elevate your space. Plus, it's going to give you a really good idea of, hey, do I need this? Is this something that I like to look at? Does it look pretty in my home? Maybe I should audit my space and keep it moving. But I love their coffee tables and their side tables for this very reason. And of course, I spoke about glass a little bit earlier. They do have glass tables at Ikea. They have really good laptop tables as well. So if you're looking for something that's going to sit over the edge of your sofa and not take up precious floor space, which is crucial for a small space, the Vicho side table is a really good option. They also have tons of laptop desks and things like that that can expand, they can pop up, they can be really easily hidden, and that is of great priority in a small space. And while not entirely affordable, Ikea is known for their Billy bookcase, their Hofstra bookcase, things like that. I think that's a great way to kind of balance decor and storage, because you definitely want to think about that in a small space, because if you're having totally open bookcases, you are missing an opportunity for storage. If you have an open bookcase, chances are you have to style it, and we want to follow the rule of three. We want to keep things very visually appealing, which means we can't stuff it. So I recommend having an open top and a closed bottom, and I think that Ikea makes that really, really feasible, because you can do a lot of mixing and matching. Next, we're going to move on to Amazon, which is a store I know you're all shopping at, but it is one of the most overwhelming online retailers. So here are the things you should pick up from Amazon for your small space. First, we have these tiny organizers. I've shared these exact ones before. I have them in my nightstand. They come with little buttons on the bottom so they don't shift about. It's just great for getting your drawers organized. Same thing goes for the shoe organizer. You can fit tons of shoes in here and just shove them in your closet or underneath your bed. Speaking of bedding and your bed, I think a great way to maximize a small space is to have underbed storage. So you can use shoe containers like this. You can use plastic containers that they have a myriad of on Amazon, but how do we hide them because they're just plain ugly? Sure, we shove them under our bed, but maybe we don't want huge draping bedding. Amazon is a great place to go for really high quality bed skirts, ones that don't look really dated and old and frumpy. I'm not a huge fan of a bed skirt, but I think if we're talking about maximizing space, a bed skirt is a very good idea. So keep that in mind. I'm going to link a few of my favorites down below, and all of the items that I'm mentioning in today's video, I am linking down below, and some of the carousel up on the screen here if you want to shop them for your small space. Amazon is also my go-to place for lighting because I find that it's even more affordable than Ikea. I think task lamps are really good option for a small space because you can tuck the base underneath the sofa and it's not taking up your walking space. Again, every square foot counts when you're dealing with a small space. They also have tons of sconces, like these LED sconces that kind of stick on the wall. Same thing with these battery operated picture lights. You don't have to worry about cord management. There's a remote so you can turn them on and off, illuminate a space, highlight your artwork, and get everything done that you need. Same thing goes with these plug-in night lights. Again, they work as sconces. They don't take up wall space. You don't have to hammer them or peel and stick them onto the wall, so you don't have to worry about any damage, but it's going to provide that illumination. Lighting is so powerful when dealing with any space, especially a small space, because it helps to stretch the room. If the light is shooting upward and downward in like kind of a skinny orientation, that's going to help stretch the room and create the illusion that it is larger than it is. Of course, it's not always about making your space look bigger than it is. It doesn't really matter how big your space is, but that feeling can help you feel less overwhelmed in a space if it's very tight. And this is something you may not have thought of, but when we're dealing with a small space, we need to think very closely about the seating options that we choose. If we're dealing with a small space, armless chairs are best. I know I'm sitting in an armchair right now, but armless chairs are best, especially when we're dealing with our counter stools or our dining chairs. When we have those big arms, it can prevent the chairs from fitting underneath the dining table or sitting flush against the wall, and we don't want to waste space like that. So I think that Amazon is a really great resource for these armless dining chairs and accent chairs. They just have chairs that are a little bit more narrow. I will say, definitely look at those reviews, look at those height parameters, because sometimes they will sell chairs that are way too short that just aren't practical for everyday living, but you definitely want something that's armless so that you can really fit it into tight corners. It's going to make a huge difference for you. This will also allow you to use a dining chair and allow it to double as an accent chair or as your office chair or something like that. And beds are just plain expensive, and beds can take up a lot of space, so a great way to save space in a bedroom is to just get a headboard and then a bed base that can fold up, and then it has room underneath again to put your storage and put that bed skirt on. So Amazon is a great resource for those headboards. They have ones that are $100, $200. They're really, really, really affordable. You can get ones that are tall, you can get ones that are wooden, and you can kind of choose something that works for your design style, but you don't have to sacrifice the space of the width of like an actual bed frame, because that can eat up 10, 12 inches in a room, which is very precious space. Now, we've talked a lot about furniture, and that's amazing, but what about what goes on the floor? If you're dealing with a small space, you should be shopping at Rugs USA. So something I love about Rugs USA is they have rugs of every single different size. So they start as low as 2x3 and they go above 10x14. They even have a custom rug program, so you can get the different tiles and fit it to your space, which could be really useful in a small space because we're dealing with kind of irregular sizes. Though, if you don't feel like doing that, they do offer irregularly shaped rugs, which can be really useful in a small space because we of course want things that are to scale. We want to make sure our furniture is touching our rug so that it's not floating around the rug, because that actually makes a room feel smaller. But sometimes we just can't fit a 9x12 in the room. Maybe we need a 10x12 or something like that, or maybe a 7x9, and we just can't find that size. So an irregularly shaped rug will help you accomplish the same goal without having to meet those standard sizes, because the only other place you're going to find rugs that aren't standard sizes are at luxury rug stores, and those are really, really expensive. So this is a great way to cut costs. And now, I don't often talk about Wayfair, but a great way to maximize your entryway, which is again really important in any home because it's a room that really easily gets messy because we're throwing our keys there and our coats there. So Wayfair really has us covered with these storage mirrors. They have full-length storage mirrors that are for jewelry that I say you can put your keys in and other things in to kind of close them up and conceal them in your entryway, but they also have tons of mirrors that have pegboards on them, so you can hang your coats on them and your keys on them and your dog leash on them. So you don't need big pieces of entryway furniture. You have a mirror so you can make sure you look good, and it's going to reflect that light, help that space look larger, which I've already mentioned, and provide you with that storage. I think that's a great way to maximize space in an entryway, and almost everybody should be doing this if they're working with less than 3 feet of walking space. They also really have high quality dining furniture. They really do use the same manufacturers like an Our House or a Restoration Hardware for their dining tables. So a Parsons dining table, a marble dining tables like the ones you see up on the screen, these are really great. They also have ones that have multiple leaves in them. That's going to be crucial to any home because you can expand the dining table, but you can keep it small all the rest of the time and just store the leaves underneath your sofa. So you can, host if you want to host, but all the rest of the time you don't have to have your dining room eat up space, because I think dining rooms tend to be the greatest waste of space in an open concept or a smaller home, because of course most of us eat in front of the TV or on the kitchen island most days. We only really use the dining table when we're entertaining, so why is it taking up so much of our home? They also have round dining tables, which you don't see everywhere, and dare I say that the ones at Wayfair are higher quality and more affordable than the ones from Ikea. I mean, just look up these ones up on the screen. I'm blown away by them. If you're looking at any brand on Wayfair, Gracie Oaks is the one to look at, and Gray Lee, super high quality, love them. The reviews are phenomenal. I think you're really going to get that elevated look with these brands. Now let's talk about the next tier, which would be Crate & Barrel and CB2. They are the same company, so we're lumping them together. So something that Crate & Barrel does really well is they have really great storage coffee tables. Now they do come at a higher price tag than the ones from Ikea, but they have many fabric options, ones that have a more rustic look, a more natural look. So if you're into the organic modern, you want something a little bit more elevated, Crate & Barrel is a really good option. They also do have storage ottomans as well that double as coffee tables, and not ugly storage ottomans. I do find with Ikea, if you're going to get a storage ottoman, you have to, go on one of those brands like Bems or something like that to get a custom cover, which just ends up making it just as expensive as if you bought it from a Crate & Barrel. But they've already got it covered, and they do have styles that are a little bit more trendy, or rather on trend, just because they're working with top designers right now. Crate & Barrel also does have a variety of sleeper and storage sofas. So by storage sofas, I mean maybe a chaise opens up and you can put pillows underneath there or blankets underneath there or sleeper sofa, so that maybe if you have a studio and you want a high quality mattress, this is a great way to kind of have the best of both worlds. I've had tons of clients come to me and say, hey Kiva, where can I buy a sleeper sofa? And my only two options are Crate & Barrel and Pottery Barn, which we will talk about in a second. CB2 in particular has a ton of plug-in sconces that look super high end. The cords are really well hidden, so you want to add that lighting to stretch the room, to create that layered lighting look that I've already spoken about, but something that doesn't look so cheap. This is a great way to do so. And both stores do have lower profile, more narrow armless chairs like I spoke of before. They do have Crate & Barrel and CB2 outlets all over the United States, and they are actually selling these chairs for a discount. I often go into outlets and I'm like, okay, this isn't a discount, you're just trying to steal my money, but they actually have really good discounts. So if you live near one, I definitely say go check that out if you're working with a smaller space. The last retailer I want to talk about for small spaces is Pottery Barn. I know Pottery Barn comes at a pretty high price tag, but the quality is there. Pottery Barn actually has an entire apartment section, so they have things that are scaled to smaller spaces. It's one of the only brands to actually do so in a way that looks chic and sophisticated. Pottery Barn especially has tons of tiered pieces, meaning that you have shelving on many different levels and then also storage options in terms of consoles, coffee tables, and things like that. I will also say that Pottery Barn does have sleeper sofas as well that I think really feel nice and look high-end. I think Pottery Barn makes one of the best sofas on the market. So if you're looking for one for your small space, I definitely say look there. I also learned recently that Pottery Barn does have an accessibility collection. So if you're living in a small space and you need furniture that is accessible, maybe you're a wheelchair user or a walker user, they have that as well that can still work for a small space, which I think is absolutely amazing. So now we've gone over 7 major retailers that can help you furnish your small space. I do recognize though that they are major retailers, they're big box stores. So how do we make our space look curated? How do we make our space look like we didn't just drag it home from Ikea? Well, we're going to shop at thrift stores, we're going to shop on Etsy, and we're going to get unique pieces of artwork, small decorative accents, and things like that. We're going to go to non-big box stores for our decorative accents, and then we're going to go to a big box store for those furniture pieces. Not to say that you can't find small space friendly furniture at those older stores, but they might be a little bit more expensive and it might require more searching long term. So there's some food for thought there. I say go on Etsy, find smaller artists, get original artwork and put them in those cheaper frames, and then when you can afford or have the space to put them in larger frames or more expensive frames, then you will do so. But there are tons of great places to get smaller decorative accents like Saatchi Art, and on Instagram and on Etsy and on Cherish and things like that. So I recommend shopping those stores also for your small space to make sure that there's a sense of balance and it doesn't just look like Ikea threw up in your home or something like that. But I don't want you to disregard these big retailers because I think they're really going to help you have an elevated small space. I hope you're walking away from today's video knowing that your small space doesn't have to look cramped and dated. It can look sophisticated and spacious and elevated. All you have to do is shop the items that I shared in today's video, and you can really take any of these lessons and shop any of the items at these stores. I just kind of wanted to give you a few examples so that you could shop with confidence. If you like today's video, I'd love it if you smash that subscribe button because I have new videos just like this one every Monday and Friday, and I love to tackle concepts just like this one. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and until next time, have a beautiful day.